Mental Fascination by William Walker Atkinson, Chapter 4, The Reconciliation. In my last chapter, I have shown you the opposing theories of the various schools which have investigated and experimented along the lines of mental fascination under some of its many names. All of these schools obtained results, notwithstanding their varying and diametrically opposite theories, the same kinds of results, remember. And more than this, they all obtained these results in very much the same way, when we come to examine the essence of the procedure, after discarding the forms added to fit in with the particular theories of the practitioner. A new synthesis. I believe that all the opposing theories of the schools may be reconciled by a new synthesis, that of mentative energy with its incidental phenomenon of mentative induction, as set forth in my Mental Magic, and further expounded in this little manual of which this chapter is a part. I believe that theories so far divergent as Mesmer's universal magnetic fluid, Abi Faria's sleep, Braid's hypnotism, Bovie Dodd's electrobiology, Leibold's suggestion, Bernheim's suggestion, the later suggestion without sleep, Brehmen's fascination, and the various other theories advanced since the time of Mesmer can be reconciled and harmonized by a careful application of the theory of mentative induction as advanced in my work on Mental Magic. And I believe that all the phenomena obtained by any and all of the above schools, as well as the phenomena of the ancient fascinators and the phenomena known as personal magnetism, charming, personal influence, magnetic personality, etc., of ancient and modern times, may be accounted for by the same theory. And so this chapter shall be devoted to the reconciliation of the various old theories with this basic principle of mentative induction. Mesmer explained. Let us first examine the real facts underlying Mesmer's theory of the universal magnetic fluid. Mesmer taught that there existed a peculiar subtle fluid, magnetic in its nature, which was diffused throughout all space, which permeated everything, and which was capable of receiving and communicating all sorts of motions and impressions. He taught that this fluid flowed freely from one body to another, acted at a distance, and could be reflected by a mirror, etc. He did not explain what this fluid was, except that it produced magnetic effects, and must therefore be magnetic in its nature. He proved that he could produce effects, and he gave out a theory to fit in with the facts, and that was within the comprehension of the people of his time. Now let us apply the idea of universal mentative energy, with its incidental phenomenon of mentative induction, to Mesmer's theory, and see how easily the reconciliation is effected. The mentative energy, like Mesmer's fluid, is universal, is diffused through all space, permeates everything. Like the fluid, it apparently passes from body to body and communicates impressions, etc. But now we know that the energy is transmitted in waves or vibrations which reproduce the original feeling by mentative induction in the second person. There is no necessity for the flowing fluid any more than there is for an electric fluid flowing over wires or through the air. The fluid idea has been superseded by the wave idea in both physics and metaphysics. The nature of the magnetic fluid. We may readily see that this magnetic fluid theory of Mesmer may be explained by the theory of mentative energy and mentative induction. There is no magnetic fluid. The energy is mental in nature and operation, and the phenomena arising therefrom is mentative also. Mesmer sought for his answer in physics, but we find it in metaphysics. The force is not physical, it is mental. All the phenomena obtained by Mesmer and his followers may be accounted for by the theory of mentative energy and mentative induction. The mental states of the mesmerist may be communicated to his subject by waves of mentative energy, and a corresponding feeling or mental state is induced by mentative induction. As we shall see as we proceed, the sleep of the mesmerist and hypnotist is merely an induction condition arising from the desire in the mind of the operator, accompanied by the suggestion on his part. Fabria explained. The theory of Abbe Faria, that the sleep condition was not the result of any outside force, but arose from within the patient himself, is also reconciled by the theory of mentative energy and induction. Of course, the sleep arises from within the patient himself, but it is induced by the waves of mentative energy of the operator, accompanied by his active suggestions. Braid reconciled. Braid's theory is also reconciled. He held that the phenomenon was of a physical nature rather than a mental, and that it was a reflex physical action arising from fixing the eyes, rigidity of the muscles, etc. His hypnotic sleep was undoubtedly heightened by his practice of tiring the eyes and muscles, on the same principle that one is tired mentally by unusual exertion of the eyes, as in the case of visiting an art gallery, museum, strange city, etc., and that the power of resistance is thereby weakened, and one is far more likely to then accept its suggestions of mentative waves. How many of us have felt mentally done out after visiting a museum, or after witnessing a long parade, or after sitting through a modern circus performance with its 3 rings going at one time? And who does not remember how many foolish things he had done at times when he was too tuckered out to object to the suggestions and influences of those around him? A danger signal. Many a girl has gone to her ruin by the subtle suggestions and influence of some male scoundrel, directed toward her after an evening of the show or circus, or after a day of sightseeing in a strange city. I tell you, friends, that in such cases the will becomes tired by overuse arising from unaccustomed tasks, and it becomes woozy and incapable of resisting the attacks upon it. As I have told you in my larger work, beware of all suggestions, etc., when in a tired state. Make a habit of saying no to attempts to make you commit yourself at such times. Wait until you feel fresh and strong, and the will is able to attend its business for you. Many a man has said yes to his sorrow, to propositions advanced to him when he was tired by the day's work, and his will was weak and unable to resist. I cannot say this to you too often, and have therefore dragged it in again at this place. There is a great psychological principle involved in this point, and you will do well to fasten it in your memory. Braid's theory may be reconciled to the idea of mentative energy and induction when we see that his eye fixation and muscular rigidity is merely the means of producing a suggestible condition, that is to say, a condition in which suggestions are more readily accepted and mentative currents are more readily received, in both cases the tired will allowing the outside influence to enter. Suggestion explained. The theories of suggestion are not contrary to those of mentative energy and induction when properly understood. The facts of the suggestionists are undoubted, but they make the mistake of ignoring the mental states of the suggestionist. They think that their effects are produced by suggestion alone and forget the mental state behind the suggestion, which is the real motive force. If their theories be true, why is it that 2 men using the same words of suggestion upon the same subject produce varying degrees of effect? It is because the mental states or dynamic mentation of the 2 men vary in quality and degree. The suggestionist thinks that he is merely directing his suggestion by words, etc., toward the subject, but all the time he is pouring out a current of mentative energy which rapidly induces the desired mental state in the subject. The best suggestionists are those who have acquired the suggestive manner, which is developed by the exercise of authoritative utterances and commands, the physical appearance, manner, and tones arising from a reflection of the mental state within. I have seen this in the case of one of America's most celebrated suggestionists, a prominent physician and scientist with whom I was associated in magazine and other work in the years 1900 and 01. I have seen the doctor giving the most powerful suggestions at one of his classes or clinics. So powerful were the emanations of mentative energy, or currents of the same, that the members of the class could distinctly feel the same, and at times could almost see them. And yet the doctor, who was wedded to his particular theories of suggestion, pure and simple, after such a wonderful manifestation, would calmly inform his class that it was nothing but suggestion, nothing more to it. And he believed it, but hundreds who attended his classes went away more firmly convinced than ever that there was something more to it, and that there was a cause behind his suggestions. The theory of suggestion is all right, but what lies back of suggestion? What gives the suggestion its force? Of what inner and invisible thing is the suggestion the visible and outward sign? Mentative energy. In harmony, harmonized. And my theory of mentative energy and induction may be reconciled with the theories of the later suggestionists, including those who still adhere to the sleep delusion, as well as those who have advanced beyond it. And it explains all the phenomena of the ancients with the religious and mystic rites. The phenomena of charming, fascination, personal magnetism, personal influence, etc., is all embraced under the theory advanced in this work and my larger work which preceded it. As we proceed with this work, we shall see the mentative energy and mentative induction in actual active operation in these various phases of phenomena, but I trust that this chapter will have shown you that there is one principle underlying all of the various theories and phenomena, and that the facts of mentative energy and the operation of the same in its phenomenal incident of mentative induction are sufficient to include and cover all of the varying manifestations of the force observable under the disguises of the conflicting theories of the various schools and cults. There is but one underlying cause, and that is mentative energy. There is but one underlying law of the operation of this force in the direction of affecting other minds, and that law is mentative induction, either direct, i.e. by mentative currents, or indirect, i.e. by suggestion, or, as is generally the case, by both combined. End of Chapter 4.